Good morning and welcome back. So I haven't recorded in a while, and I've been working on creating my space and also working on my voice. I have some different scenes and challenges coming up, one of which, the one we're going to tackle today, scene 19, or chapter 19, still coming from the movie world, is theoretically with a German accent. And I'm not pretending this is authentic. And I know I'm way over the top. I'm not comfortable enough or good enough yet to be able to dial it back. So I've been working on it, and I'm going to try to get through a whole chapter. And then, for the actual book, I'm hoping as I learn, I can pull it back and make it much more subtle. So hopefully it's not quite a cartoon, but trying to find the consistency in the accent and my choices. And again, if I can pull that back later on, that'll be great. These are raw reads, no edits, and, you'll get to hear all my screw-ups. So with that in mind, let's try to record. Chapter 19. Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren. Professor Clark looked out at the crowded lecture hall. I see my plan of teaching the easy classes is working. Students laughed. But perhaps I can find some challenges for you, and in doing so, open your mind to what we think of as universal truths. He smiled, until we fly to Mars and start over. I'm ready, someone shouted. And we're ready to send you. Professor Clark waited until the laughter settled. You and I, and man from before the time before he was man, drinking beers in his cafe and waiting since the invention of the internet, love a good story. Our myths and legends carry echoes of ancient civilizations and unite humanities in our quest for understanding. Even in the not-so-humblest of our fairy tales, we can find shared motifs and archetypes. The professor's eyes warmed to his task. In stories as loved as Cinderella, Aschenputtel in the German tradition, along with its cultural variations, we share themes of hardship, transformation, and the triumph of good over evil. As he spoke, the hand-painted cells of the beloved children's classic gave way to Duloch's masterful illustrations of the Grimm brothers' darker version, and the cute fluffy animals of the forest became mourning doves pecking out the eyes of the wicked stepsisters. Doing her best to blend in with the others sitting in the back, a young woman smiled at the palpable rise in the hall's energy as students refocused their attention. Nothing like a bit of blood and guts to keep the students interested. Today, we'll begin exploring the remarkable parallels found in legends and folklores across different cultures and eras, and uncover shared motifs, the creation of the world, the Great Flood, and tales of the gods. These common stories, colored by distinct cultural lenses, cast light on man's fundamental need to make sense of our existence, find explanation since the mysteries of the natural world, and to grapple with our own mortalities. A new image came up, a detailed woodcut. Who can tell me what we're looking at here? Hands shot up as a boy shouted, A new graphic novel! Everyone laughed. Yeah, maybe, und maybe one is a first. The first of the intricate woodcuts from the apocalypse filled the screen. Considering they were in Nuremberg, many recognized the artist, but the woman was perhaps the only one to have seen real-life versions of the projected images, and definitely the only one to own 500-year-old proof impressions of the entire folio. Even in the washed-out light of the screen, the artist's meticulous detail and command of light and shadow brought the Book of Revelations to life. Perhaps where we sit, a short walk from the birthplace of Renaissance artist Albrecht Dürer provides a fitting backdrop from which to begin our explorations, Professor Clark said, drawing a connection between the city and their studies. Just as Durer's works transforms art across Europe, Legends has the power to transcend borders and not only rewrite history, but to shape it. Celestial visions of ominous beasts and apocalyptic battles, the woodcut stopped on the most famous of his works, The Four Horsemen. Even jaded by 100 years of cinema, with Skywalker ranches and Wettas and digital domains, and now the seemingly limitless imagination of 400 million people training AI to capture their dreams and transport their creations across the world, the images conveyed a sense of awe and terror. From epic tales of Norse mythology, with its gods and giants, to the rich tapestry of South American and African legends, to ancient Egyptian myths revolving around the heavens, like the god Ra, we discover common threads that connects the continents across time. Perhaps these are familiar with you, so let's jump across the world and begin with... His TA paused for dramatic effect before forwarding the next slide. The Isles of Japan. In 1945, still reeling from the conflicts of war, my father, Captain Oliver Clark, was stationed in Munich as part of the American effort to help rebuild and influence future policy and events. As many did throughout the history of war, he brought back what he thought of as a souvenir, a memento of his time in Asia and on the islands of Japan. The woman might have been the only one not to sit up a bit straighter. You'd have to really know her, and few ever had, to see she was studiously not interested. As he spoke, he flipped open the latches of a long wooden case, and with it, a little-known story he would later tell to delight his children, Adelheid und Heinrich, as exotic as any fairy tale. He lifted the cloth-wrapped object above the lectern. The Sword of Heaven. The crowd leaned forward, as if those few inches might make a difference. Clark reveled in the power he held over the students. It was as close to the theater as he was likely to get, and he bathed in it, like an addict in a field of poppies. In many ways, the Japanese legends parallels our tales of King Arthur and the Sword and the Stone. Both involved a weapon imbued with extraordinary power, only waiting for a worthy individual to claim it. Let's see it! He held the sword up, still hidden within embroidered cloth, as if he was rallying the class to battle. According to legend, the blade was forged in the latter part of the Kamakura period, the early 1300s for those who might not be up on their Far Eastern studies. The steel extract from a meteor that fell from the heavens millions of years ago. As he spoke, he slowly unveiled the sword. Forged over a period of 10 years by an unknown swordsmith in a village of master craftsmen, the sword was said to possess the energy of the stars and grants its wielder unmatched strength and skill, and the power to defeat all foes. Professor Heinrich Clark paced the front of the classroom, holding the sheathed sword with both hands, the lacquer so deep and polished it glowed. What other story does this sound like? A big guy near the back shouted out, Jäger des verlorenen Schatzes. Yes, Clark laughed. It never failed. The Sword of the Lost Treasure, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, since our English guest, and even more accurately throughout history, and no less colorful, Der Bogen der Bundes, the Ark of the Covenant. Lass uns es sehen. Let's see it. Not so fast. Alas, the sword, deemed to be too powerful, but since one pure of heart to wield it without dire consequence, was graced with a curse to keep it confined. He gestured toward one of the students, and the boy jumped at the chance to make his way to the stage. I warn you, only the chosen one, someone untainted by the dark intentions or selfish desires, can release the sword from its prison. The professor bowed and waited till the boy bowed back, and then reverently handed it over. The boy tugged on it. Nothing. Tried to get a better grip. The woman watched, sure the sword would come out in a rush, and the boy would cut his hand off. Or worse. But try as he might, the sword remained hidden, as secure as Excalibur. The rest of the students laughed. "I want to try!" More voices jumped in. "Mir aus! Ich muss es ausprobieren." "Sorry, es tut mir leid. It seems today's class is over." The students groaned and laughed. "Perhaps before the end of the semester, if you all discover the chosen one. Und die Namen aus will be celebrated as part of the legend." The woman sat as the rest gathered their books and papers and backpacks. So besides my bad accent, trying to give it a little bit different voice without getting carried away, and my bad pronunciation of some of my German, even though I've been trying to learn it. So these are just some of the challenges you have as an audiobook and characters. And I still have Spanish and theoretically Cuban, and I have some Japanese and a little more German coming up. So, I have the challenges out there. One of the things I did as I approached this particular scene was, how subtle do I make it? And my thought was, if I was just picking up the book and reading this to a friend, I would, and I knew this was in Germany and a professor, I would probably, as the reader, give it this over-the-top accent. And the study and the work I've tried to do on it, and I still have a long way to go. I'm not pretending I'm perfect, but is to find the consistency in the words. And so doing a lot of study offline, talking to a few German friends, even had a friend of mine in Germany record it for me so that I could pick up a few of the nuances and bring that to the table. I think all that enriches what we do. So until next time and the next chapter, and hopefully a better version of this one, thanks for tuning in, because voices do matter. Thanks. Bye.